authentic to the Victorian period. So this was the dining room in here.
This is a Rengstorff house in Mountain View. It is a historical museum for History Museum of Mountain View. It is not big, nothing so magnificent, but to my eyes, since I am the resident of this city, it looks so interesting to see hundreds of years ago, the first people lived in this place, how they lived. This was not the original installation. A piece of Mountain View history.
Almost 4,000 square feet, but it just doesn't seem all that big. The rooms are small, but the ceilings are high. So they would have had big paintings like this. And that just, for instance, they'd come across the plains in a covered wagon, and Henry's wife also came from Germany. Her family did come by way of covered wagon to arrive here, and they might have had something that's a sort of a chest that they'd load their belongings in and put it on a wagon, and that would be where they. So it was a donation, it's not from the Rengstorffs, but this is all, they did use that type of thing. And if you go to your left, these that you were just looking at here, when we restored the house, everybody got really interested. There was lots of enthusiasm. That's a list of all the people who donated. Small things, a lot of them were small things, but they all wanted to be a part of it, so it was just a lot of enthusiasm. But when it got done, everybody had a big party, and they all got dressed up. And in 1991, it was, when the house opened for their restoration. And down here, here's where the family would sit. This is another.
1991 was the opening of this place.
You see that's what the original marble fireplace that was gone. Be interesting to know where they went, but maybe the developer removed them. Anyway, the marble fireplaces just burned on, so we had to have copies made. This is as close as we could get. This is marble chips and a resin. You pour it into a mold, and so, well, it is marble, it's just not carved marble.
This is so interesting.
Yeah, you know how these work? You get the 3D effect.
Oh, really?
And you pinch the bottom and move it up and down. Before the days of electricity and television.
Oh, you do get a 3D.
And you have a box of these.
Oh, and this is in LA.
So this is where the family would sit. We're told they had 2 pianos in here. I don't know why they ever put 2 pianos, because I think it'd be too crowded. But that's what we would, and 2 bookcases, and 7 children.
7 children.
I think that, I don't know how they ever fit into this room, but anyway.
In this room or in the house? 7 children in this room or in the house?
The what?
7 children.
7 children.
In this room or in the whole house?
Oh, the whole house.
Oh,
Henry
oh.
had 7 children.
Okay.
But if they were all sitting in the evening, maybe
Ah,
they might have. Maybe they wouldn't all sit together in the evening, but I can't imagine where they all fit, even if they had 2 bookcases and the pianos and all that. I think the Victorians were just used to having a lot of decoration and,
yes.
well, they were not used to the spaces. Mostly the houses were not so big. You know, outside they're removing the honeybee nest from up
from the top.
up top. They discovered, so there's honey up there too, so we have to take the honey out. That would be kind of a mess. So they started doing that, but I don't think it'll be too noisy. One of the things he did was to store the hay and the grain for the local farmers, and then he would float it off to Oakland or San Francisco, because 100 years ago there were lots of horses,
Yeah.
and he'd sell it to feed the horses. And he was a good businessman. This is one of the ways Henry made his money.
Yeah.
And it would look like that when he was ready to leave. We'd stack them up on top. There were shallow boats. They'd stack up the hay bales and off they'd go.
Yeah.
This, you know, they used to have big hanging, sometimes curtains.
Uh-huh.
But the woman who did the draperies said this would be, well, it's more open. In fact, it's more open because when it's used, you don't get the clothes in anytime. And I think they used to do things like this, so she made these. It worked out really well.
Yeah.
But when they had company, the children didn't get any guests here. And this is.
It's like in the old days, I don't know when it changed, and you have to smile in a picture. Because in the old days, photographs is very serious.
It was very serious.
Nowadays, you have to smile.
So these are some of his children. That's his son, and we can Rengstorff had to stay with his son. He lived there, so he would stay that way. And his daughter, this is his son, John painted those two paintings up here. And this is his wife. He's also looking for he went home to take piano lessons to all the children. Maybe that's why the 2 pianos. And certainly, everybody would be very good. Except Henry, he doesn't look so grim, but everybody else does. And also, that's a copy. Electricity about 100 years ago I came here, and so I'm told that if you had electricity, you wanted to be thought very up to date and modern, so you would have the electricity with the bulbs aiming down, so everybody could admire them.
Oh, okay.
And the electricity failed quite often,
Oh.
so you needed to be able to switch to the gas, and those are the ones going up.
Oh,
Because these are all electricity, but people have told me, yes, my grandmother had something like that, so it's a copy of what it would have looked like.
Back in,
And they didn't have it, they would have had indoor plumbing that came about 100 years ago, after those 7 children were all grown, of course.
And what is this?
That's a coal scuttle. They burned coal
oh, okay.
mostly, and you just open up that front and you have the coal inside and you scoop it out. These fireplaces really are wood-burning fireplaces when the house was restored, but we don't encourage. It used to be you could rent a house and light a fire, and I don't think that's not encouraged very much anymore. But when the house was restored, it was. So you could rent a house in a cold day in December, and everybody sit around the fire. But anyway, back in the Henry's day, they burned coal mostly. The wallpaper It's a company that makes period wallpaper, and they designed this. In fact,